Hey, good morning. It's the Around the League show with your hosts, James and ToddFox. Take it away, James, as we get you caught up on the MLB network. Well, not the MLB network, but on the Halos in the Infield network, and get you caught up on the MLB big stories and news. It's a new show. Check it out.
Yeah, Around the League show, and I'm happy to be here. James, of course, do the pregame shows on this channel on this June 26th. We're almost done with June. I can't believe it. But yeah, we got some interesting stories. First thing, though, first set of business. Todd, I am just sick of the surprise fees and hidden fees at checkout. Where in the world should I get tickets for like the Angels? And I'm a big Paramore Beyonce fan. So where, where would I find tickets at a great price? And also, where would I go before Angel games to get a beer, maybe find some free parking? Todd, what do you think?
I think you should go to 714 Tickets, 714 Tickets, 714 Tickets. Go to the checkout because the price you see is the price you get. You call them up right now. You can still get, it's the last day of those $55 tickets for the tailgate this Saturday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So what you want to do is, if you got to call them, though, call the number to get the tickets, number one. Number two, if you want ticket 10% off of your ticket purchases moving forward as many times as you want, you just have to go to the Apply Now code and put HITI, which obviously stands for Halos in the Infield. You get that, and you get 10% off. You get into the jersey contest and an additional 5% off on your next purchase if you do them back-to-back. And you can also use that on anything, not just Angels baseball, but you could use it on Dodger baseball. You could use it on WNBA. You could use it on, well, I don't know why you would, but then you could use it on concerts and everything else moving forward. So there you go. 714 Tickets is the place to be. And then also, like you said, if you're thirsty, it's a 5-minute walk from the stadium across Catella to Noble L Works, and Noble L Works gives you $1 off every time you mention Halos in the Infield, and also during games, if you don't have the tickets to go to the games through 714 Tickets and you just want to crash, eat some barbecue, and drink some good official beers and original beers, all kinds of flavors, seltzers and all kinds. If you want to do that during the games, it's 2 pints for $9. Also, you can also get buy one get one free. So there's also those specials after the 7th inning. So check them out. Noble L Works. Be sure to mention Halos in the Infield.
And take it from me, that one day I was pretty happy with the results of the beers I drink. Yeah, speaking of 714 Tickets, Alejandra helped me get those tailgate tickets. So those people there, very friendly, very easy to talk to and get the transactions done. So let's get into these topics. Mike Trout, does he deserve to go to the All-Star game on July 11th in Seattle? The numbers here, maybe they're not as good as they used to be. And I know we're going to have defenders out there to say, well, he's getting older and this comes with that and all this and all that. We expect a certain level of Mike Trout, I think, and then the playoff drought kind of blends in as well. But looking at his stats real quick, what was it? He's played 74 games this year, 329 plate appearances, let's see, 50 runs, 71 hits, 13 doubles, surprisingly no triples. That has gone down as the years have gone on, which is amazing to me to think. 2012, 8 triples, 13, 14, 9, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last year, 2, and this year, none. Home runs, 17, RBIs, 41. He's stolen 1 base. It just shows you, man, from 2012, he stole 49, and that led all the major leagues, surprisingly. Yeah. And now it's just 1 stolen base this year. He's walked 42 times, but he has struck out 90 times, and he's only hitting 255. And that's been a very odd thing to see because looking at his career, hell, he never went past or under 280 in his career, other from his the September call up he had in 2011, where he only batted 220, but he was only up, at the plate 135 times.
Hmm.
So with these numbers, Todd, that I mentioned, I know we talk about it daily. You talk about it nightly
Hmm.
about Mike Trout. We have the doubters. We have the Halo honks that say, "Oh, no matter what, he should be in there. He's a true angel. It doesn't matter about his stats." How do you feel? Do you think Mike Trout this year should go to the All Star game based on his numbers? Or is it going to be a popularity contest and the fans will vote him in no matter what?
I think right now, as it sits, even if he wasn't to get another vote, he'd probably be a the only thing is it's whether or not he's going to be a starter. But I think the whole issue with another injury to a player we'll talk about later, he's going to be in there. It is a popularity contest, and just ask Brandon Belt, But it's one of those things where I believe he'll get in on name recognition. I think like if he were to have a season like this next year as well, I think the more doubters and more people, the fanboys, would jump off a little bit. I think a lot of fanboys have understood, or at least realized in their mind that, hey, he's due for a down year, or we'll give him a pass. I think this is his pass because I think with 50, well, you said he has 55 RBIs, right?
Let's see.
Or is it
Sorry.
45? Because I thought 55 was
41, 41.
Yeah, 41. That's low. That's low. I think at this point he should have about 55 to 60 RBIs, or even if this guy was driving in runs with runners in scoring position, which he hasn't done in the last 3 years. He hasn't cracked 100 RBIs. That's what people don't understand. But if this guy, if he wasn't all or nothing, because that's what he seems to be, 45 homers, 89 RBIs, I believe, last year. He needs to get his numbers up and become that player again that would rip doubles, go for triples, like you said. He's just trying to crank the home run every time, and most of the time it's captain solo. It's not the 3-run homer that we need. So if you're not getting the 3-run homer, good hitters go the other way. Good hitters try to wrap one to the gap or shoot one to the gap or just hit a base hit where nobody's at. And I don't think he has that mentality, and that's been part of the problem, why his RBI numbers are down, why he's not hitting very good. So I'm hoping that changes. I'm hoping that moves, we can see a better Trout moving forward. But long story short, I know it's a long-winded answer. I don't think he deserves it this year. I think he should take it off because, again, he's like Rendon. I want to spend time with my family. Well, then, you know what? Take the All-Star break and spend it with your family.
Yeah, looking at his on base percentage, it's only at 365. Usually he would hover around 438, 440. Slugging is down to 486. It's usually in the 600s.
Mm-hmm.
And then the OPS is about 850. Usually he's right around 1,000. Last year he went 40 home runs, 80 RBIs, despite only playing 119 games. He's on his pace for not really for the walks like he used to be, but you could just tell the strikeouts are there, and I know it's a haunting thing that now pitchers feel like, hey, I can get the fastball by him, high and even in the zone, I can get it by him, and it's usually in those clutch situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ones that kind of hurt the most because you really need him to come through. But that's where, like, okay, Otani back is kind of hurting because he's having to carry the team. That's been happening a lot lately. So let's get to what happened on Saturday and Sunday this last weekend. The MLB London series ended Sunday with the Cardinals and Cubs splitting a pair of games on the weekend. And the Cubs, I think, they won 9-1 on Saturday, and then the Cardinals came back to win Sunday, and that was early morning game, which I didn't even care about. Honest 7-5, the Cardinals won. I mean, look at the Cubs right now, 37-39. The Cardinals 32-45. It was just two teams. I think if it was different teams, I think I would watch, but it didn't intrigue me at all. I didn't care that they were in London. I didn't care that the ball travels further there or whatever the case is. I really didn't care. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for an international series to be intriguing. And I feel that way about the NFL too. They always send a good team and then a horrible team to play each other in the NFL. So, Todd, is there another country other from the four we talked about? So, England, Mexico, Australia, Japan have all hosted an international series. Now, for me, um, and it sounds weird, but when you think about it and where a team might end up in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to see. Now they've done this for exhibition games with the Blue Jays going to Montreal to play someone, but it'd be cool for a regular season series to kind of see if Montreal can support a team again. If the Blue Jays played a regular season in Montreal, maybe that's an international series. I don't know. I don't know if that counts. But Todd, is there another country out there you would like to see an international series played that hasn't hosted one yet?
I know back in the day they had one. Was it in Puerto Rico or Dominican when the Angels were playing the Expos there?
Oh, that was Puerto Rico, and the reason why the Expos just tested it out. Remember the Rays wanted to do that with Montreal
Mm-hmm.
last year, and so I think they played half of their games or a quarter of their games in 2003. The Expos did in Puerto Rico. I remember that because the Angels, one of those games, they slugged like so many home runs. It was like record breaking.
Yeah, the home runs were easy to hit out of that stadium. I would love for them to go back to Puerto Rico to give it a chance because I think that you have a fan base over there that loves baseball. They play a lot of Winter League baseball over there, and it gets a lot of attention. I do enjoy the games when they go to Mexico. I do like what So if I had to say, um, I would have to say Puerto Rico, and this one's going to come out of left field literally, but Italy. Italy's trying to get in the whole World Baseball Classic. They've got a lot of their players that are playing there too. I say why not? Because a lot of these countries that are mostly soccer based, that that's their primary sport, is why some leagues like the NBA come over there, and what are those called, the European leagues and stuff like that sprout up, and they do really good because they're giving an alternative to a pretty much washed market of just pure soccer. Like it's always soccer, soccer, soccer. So if you sprinkle in something new, it gets a lot of attention. In Great Britain and everything else like that, and in England, getting two teams that are mediocre, because I heard the other day they're going to play, the next year is going to be the Mets and the Phillies. That should be a pretty good series. And like you said, this one was between two bottom feeders, but you look at what their attendance was, because it's a once-a-year thing. You had 55,000 for both games, and that's 110,000 fans. That's a lot of marketing that went good. That's a lot of revenue they're going to take in, and that's a lot of, hey, look at baseball. This could be kind of cool. So I like what they're doing and expanding, but if I had to say there's two, it would be Italy and Puerto Rico. I think putting it in Italy would be kind of weird, but it would be cool at the same time, because then you get some people, again, that wouldn't be used to it at all, getting to see Major League Baseball for the first time.
I mean, right away I think of the Coliseum. Imagine somehow, but they can't really because the ground is so unstable. But imagine, a game at the Coliseum, a series at the Coliseum. That would be crazy. I remember growing up, with like the video games we had, and they had the certain places you can play if you unlocked it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, hey, maybe one day when we're all gone, they'll have a game in space. I don't know, but I was just thinking about maybe the Dominican Republic, since so many players come out of there.
Oh yeah.
That'd be something where it's like, hey, they come back, all these players come back home, and they have all these Dominican camps now. All these teams are developing those players from certain countries. That'd be something. Even have like a vacation, series where it's like Barbados or um, Jamaica. That would be something too. But then it would get out of hand, and I don't want that. But
Well, how about
uh,
have they had it in Germany? Because again, Germany's most like, especially West Germany's mostly been westernized. My uncle always tells me that, like, it's like U.S. but in Germany, they've adopted a lot of Western culture. Like that's why the NFL keeps trying there, and other sports keep trying there. But what I don't remember a baseball game in Germany. Do you?
no, I don't remember one at all. I know we've had some players come from the U.S. Base there in Germany that have sprung out and become athletes. Right away I think of Shaquille O'Neal, or I can't remember the other one, but there were some, quote, army brats that became, great athletes from Germany. That was just, there because their father was there. The next topic here, the
Oh,
talk of the end. Yeah,
real
go
quick,
ahead. Go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. Jim just says, "Hey, great to see you guys this morning." He's over at Costco. Vetter said, "James, he remembers space a game where they unlocked a space type thing." And also, Vetter says, "How about playing in Hawaii?"
I didn't think of that. The San Diego Padres, for a while back in the late 70s, 80s, they had their AAA team in Honolulu. And the stories of that being down here, I've heard about. That's where Tony Gwynn was playing, and all these Padres, they would come up. And they wouldn't be disappointed because the weather is great. Well, not right now, but the weather is great
Mm-hmm.
here in San Diego. But they would go from Hawaii to San Diego and being called up, and it was kind of relaxing in a way. I Yeah, I mean, the NFL had the Pro Bowl there. They don't have it now, just based on the horrible stadium that was the Aloha Stadium. That's been awful. But I didn't think about that. That's a good idea. You could definitely have 3 games there. You fly in on Thursday. You leave on right after the game on Sunday. You give both teams a day off. I think that could work, honestly. I didn't even think about that.
It would entice a lot of people to go there because I remember in the NFL, a lot of the players would just take it as a vacation. So they would love making the Pro Bowl because the Pro Bowl allowed them to bring their families too. So
I would think all those Eastern Seaboard people would be like, especially in the beginning of the season where it's like cold and horrible.
true.
They would imagine Yankees, Red Sox in Hawaii. That would be amazing. Or Philadelphia and the Mets in Hawaii.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Or if you had, say for instance, if you had the what is it called, the White Sox and Cubs, if they played early in the season, obviously Chicago's miserable early in the season. You could have them
mhm.
just play a series over there. I mean, it would suck for their fans, but it'd be great to see them playing in a warmer environment.
Yeah, and then all those people that wanted to go to Hawaii from all those horrible areas at that time, I think that would intrigue people. So I really like that idea. Vetter came up with that?
Yeah, Vetter came up with that.
Yeah, man, that's smart right there. And then that I remember like triple play baseball. I want to say it was like 2001 or
Yes,
something.
yes,
Had those? They even had like a kitchen or a coffee table you could play on as well. I remember something
dude. It
like
was
that.
like it was triple play. I think that was because I remember playing triple play 20 or no 97 through 2001. I love those games because then you can make you had the Field of Dreams, You could have big players, small players that ran like super fast. Like if you let down a bunt, like before the pitcher could even get it, he'd be like at second. He'd be like real small with a big ass bat, and then he'd have a guy that you could only see his legs, and from like he was so tall, and it was just weird. Like Triple Play had these crazy stuff, and I remember them playing in the army too, like on the floor in a kid's room with all these like little army men and toys all over the place. It was crazy. Those are fun games.
Fun times, and I remember big heads too.
That's what she said.
Yeah. The talk of the MLB are the surprise teams. Looking at the standings, Baltimore and Texas in the American League. I know you have an opinion about Texas.
I'm sticking with it, bro. I'm sticking with it.
And in the National League, you have Miami, Cincinnati, somehow, Arizona, and San Francisco, all, with winning records, and kind of shocking, at least one of them. Out of all those teams I mentioned, Todd, which teams are the most surprising so far?
You said Baltimore, Texas, and who else again?
Miami. Let me go with Cincinnati, who has just sprung out of nowhere, honestly. Miami, Cincinnati, Arizona, San Francisco.
Yeah, Courtney is mentioning. She says Diamondbacks. I'm gonna have to go with a combination of Diamondbacks Reds, only because I thought the Marlins would be decent. I didn't think they'd be second place good. I thought the Marlins just on pitching alone would be around the middle of the pack or third place, somewhat of an ascending team to where obviously the homework for next year would be adding offensive pieces. So I thought they'd be decent. I didn't think they were going to be second place, not too far behind the Braves, number one. And then I think the the two biggest surprises is, the Arizona Diamondbacks. I thought people saw the potential in them being sort of like the Marlins, being a team that, is going to be around a bit, feisty, sort of, still finish about fourth or maybe third. Maybe they could jump the Giants. But their better days are like next year and above. And I thought same thing. And so to see them in first place, Carroll and the rest of those young kids just not only playing good, but playing consistent baseball. Funny how teams, when they're consistent and doing things good, how they could win. It's funny, right? So see, and I'm taking a shot at my Angels there. And it's... And I would say the Cincinnati Reds, I think that if there's a ballsy award for anybody this year, if we give one away, if we do an end of the year award show, the ballsy award has to go to the Reds front office. I hate their ownership, but the front office was like, you know what, F it. We got a lot of good players that we could be grooming to trade to other teams, or we could just say F it. Let's see what they got at the major league level. And their players are super exciting. They're full of life. The coaching's good. And I don't know, between them and the Diamondbacks, I think the Reds are more fun to watch because of how they play and how they react with each other. But the Diamondbacks are right there as far as a solid team that looks like they've been around a while, And then we kind of like saw Baltimore ascend. We knew they were going to be good. But long story short, I'd have to say Diamondbacks Reds.
The reason I put Orioles because they were on the outside looking in, and then I thought, okay, maybe they want to be this good. That's why I mentioned them. I think two players have to stand out. So the fastest man in the world, De La Cruz of Cincinnati, Ellie De La Cruz. He's got the power.
I thought you were going to say Maldonado. My bad.
Well, he's the best pitcher manager in the world, I would say. I kind of miss that leadership.
Correct.
I would definitely say. But Ellie De La Cruz, man, this dude already with 3 home runs since being called up, 23 hits and 69 at-bats, 10 RBIs, and already 8 stolen bases. So he's kind of what the new generation of players should be, and it's a freak of nature. And it's so amazing to see. And then Luis Arise, this dude's hitting 399. He's been hovering around 400 or better all season long for Miami. So these two players I have to highlight, and they're part of these surprise teams. They've been awesome.
Oh
By the
yeah.
way, Cincinnati plays Baltimore in I believe, three game series this week. So I'll be looking at that for sure. For me, Arizona, yeah, I didn't think they would be this good. I thought, okay, maybe maybe they'll show a little something. Maybe they'll be in third place like I had. The Giants, though, I really didn't think they were going to be anything. They lost a few pieces. They signed, Mitch Haniger, and I thought, well, okay, that's decent, but Joey Bart has been awful for them. He was supposed to be it's hard being the catcher after Buster Posey,
Yep.
and that's his title, and he hasn't lived up to it. But they have other young players that have come up. They have still Yastrzemski, a good starting rotation. Some former Angels on there that I wish that the Angels could have kept. Mostly Alex Cobb. But yeah, I think Arizona, San Francisco, especially San Francisco. I really thought they would be down there with Colorado, but Arizona, just because of their record, maybe I thought maybe they're the most surprising. And then with Texas, I didn't think they would be this good, but the slugging is there. The starting pitching's been really good with Evaldi and Perez, Dunning. Uh, but yeah, maybe I would have to say just I would say the Giants, just because nobody had them in second place right now where they are.
True.
That to me is surprising because I thought again they'd be down there with Colorado. So now, opposite of that, let's look
What?
at the most disappointing team so far.
Hold on, real quick to follow up on a couple comments. Hanky Panky says, Todd, how about how about you eat some calamari while wearing your Squid City Connect jersey? No. He also says, fastest man in the league is Velasquez. Vetter says the Angels also had a minor league team in Hawaii, the same one as the Padres, from 1962 to 1964, and again in 1969 to 1970. They were called the Hawaii Islanders.
Yeah, that's what they were. Yeah, that's what it's called.
The only other thing
Yeah.
I'll add to that, dude, is I don't know if you've ever been to Catalina Island, but the Chicago Cubs had a team over there for a while.
Mhm.
Their field is
Yeah,
still there.
they would have spring training there in the 20s and 30s. I want to say, Wrigley was a very rich man, so he could pretty much do whatever he wanted to. And
Pretty much.
yeah, again, now opposite of that, let's look at the most disappointing teams so far, whom were supposed to be good.
Hmm.
So in the American League, I have Cleveland and Seattle. In the National League, this is where it gets interesting. The New York Mets, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the San Diego Padres in the National League. Okay, out of all these teams, which are the biggest losers so far?
I don't know who that Cleveland team is you're referring to. I just know of Ohio. So if you're, Ohio,
Ohio.
I had to say this. I one in each league. I'd have to say the Seattle Mariners because there was a lot of hype. I bit into the Dipoto sandwich that he was making for all of us. I thought the Mariners were really going to be an asshole team like the Rangers are this year. And boy, I mean, guys that were in their starting rotation are now bullpen pieces. Their ERA has been ballooning on most of their pitchers. A lot of their stars not coming through or not even coming close to what they did last year. Adding some pieces that you thought would help the offense to move along a little bit easier and a little bit better. Improvements, I thought, man, boy, they did a really good job in the offseason. Now I'm thinking, man, boy, they whiffed on a lot of these, and a lot of guys are having down years at the same time. So last year you saw all the right things happening. This year you're seeing all the wrong things. So I think just for the fan base up there, because I know how Seattle fans are and how hyped they got off of last year's success, they are really feeling it this year. So I know they are super disappointed. So I think they are the worst team right now as far as like expectations and actually coming through in the American League. Now, if I have to say as a whole, in all of baseball, I think you can't go any further than the San Diego Padres. I look again. I know the Mets are always groomed as far as being the second fiddle to the Yankees. They have to be one of the best teams in the league. They always go out and get the star power and all this other stuff. But you know what? Billy Epler went over there. So Billy Epler, good luck, Mets fans. That's what we had to deal with here. He's not the smartest tool in the shed, and you're welcome. But San Diego putting together Soto and getting Captain PEDs back. They've got a really good lineup, a rotation that, if you look at it, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish, and the bullpen pieces and Cronenworth and all these players that they got should be a team that should be on accident in second place, first place, and especially with Bob Melvin. I don't think a lot of people realize that Bob Melvin is usually a manager with a lot of stability, and they brought him in because last year's manager just didn't know how to get things done, or the year before didn't know how to get things done. It was not too much MLB experience. Melvin came with a huge track record of making the postseason, and you would thought that he would have these guys disciplined, playing right. But Darvish with almost a 5 ERA. I think Snell with like the same thing. The bullpen's kind of been weak. They have, there's sink or swim with. I mean, it's not like they've been hit with injuries. This lineup should be averaging 5 to 6 runs at least, and they're not doing that. I mean, hell, they were swept by Kansas City. So this, I'd say San Diego by far, dude.
It's funny. I remember that Kansas City series. That was a Machado bobblehead, so I got that for money reasons to sell it.
Does it have a needle in its arm or ass?
That was the game. Like in that series, they won that one game, and then they didn't win for the rest of that week, and that was shocking as hell. Their main problem in San Diego right now is runners in scoring position. All their runs seem to be like solo home runs.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then runs on like wild pitches or errors, but nothing with runners in scoring position. I thought their faults were, it's going to be pitching. When you put so much money into the lineups, you're going to have a young bullpen. You're going to have a back of the rotation that's going to be young and not really good as experienced. They do have Josh Hader for 1 year, their closer. He can be up and down. But, man, that lineup they put together, it's like, okay, there's no bad players in that lineup. Like, you cannot take anyone. And they've made changes, too. They have Gary Sanchez. They got Nelson Cruz. But, man, their first 4 in their lineup, it's right there with Tampa Bay, or at least it should be. But, yeah, and just like anything you can think of has gone wrong other from injuries. So it's amazing, too, looking at the run differential. It's 31. It's plus 31. So it just shows you they don't get timely hits, but they're doing well pitching. Like Blake Snell, I keep wanting to call him Ian Snell, but Blake Snell, he's been really good as of late. Darvish has been really good, but it's just everybody. Musgrove's been okay, but everybody else has really struggled. For me, it's St. Louis. I feel like
really
their run differentials negative 16, and they're in last place. You would figure in that division, I'm not hating on Cincinnati, what they're doing, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh has definitely fallen. That's why they were the most surprising team, but not now. The Cubs were out there as well, but they've fallen like Pittsburgh has. But you would think in an easy division like that, the Cardinals should not be 8.5 out of first place, 11 out of their wild card. Granted, they are 5-5 in their last 10, but man, they've given up so many runs. Jack Flaherty has been awful this year. We saw that in the Angels series in St. Louis, in which the Angels swept somehow. And I remember that series after that thinking, well, I think these Cardinal players are imposters. They're not playing the Cardinal way. Something's wrong. they have Wilson Contreras, who they brought over from the Cubs. Maybe he's the cancer in the locker room. I don't know what the hell it is. But when you have the corners like they do, Arenado and Goldsmith, that should easily get you at least, in third place. But maybe everything else around him is that bad. And then Carlos Marmol, the uh, second year manager, maybe he's the problem. I don't know
I
what
think
it
that
is.
has I think that has something to do with it. Yes.
Yeah, maybe. I know he has a little temper. He gets after the umpires a lot. Even tells them to retire. From what I saw in Arizona last year, he told
Mm-hmm.
CB Buckner to retire. So for me, at least in the National League, I mean, with the Mets, you kind of expect this. I mean, not to be 15 out. I mean, the Braves have run away with it, but they're 8 out of the wild card, run differential at -18. But man, for me, St. Louis, it's like there's no way you would think. I had them in first place this year. There's no way they should be this bad. Cleveland or Ohio, they're banged up. They're young. They made some changes after last year. They're trying to get back, so they're only two back of first place. So they're right there, five in the wild card. But with Seattle, I guess in the American League, that would be my disappointing team. It feels like, okay, you remember the ending of Major League, the movie, how they won, and that was the first time they won in forever. That's what I feel like with Seattle, right? And then you go into Major League Two, everybody's getting their roses, getting their endorsements.
Mm-hmm.
They're bringing in new players, and nothing is meshing really well. That's what I feel like with Seattle this year, where J Rod, everybody's giving him his flowers right away. They're comparing him to, what Mike Trout did right away. And it's pretty much stabbed him in the back where it's like, we expect him and the Mariners to be great all the time. And they're putting too much on Seattle. And yeah, their starting rotation has not been good this year. And they do have some great bullpen pieces. Their setup guy, Munoz, the closer there is really good, but it's all about getting to him. And the lineup hasn't been really good. And then, yeah, the starting pitching has been awful for Seattle. So that's mine. Uh, Next, any comments at all?
I just was gonna say one thing because since we're bringing up the standings, I'll stick with it real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
As far as I think there's an issue as we get closer and closer to the All-Star game. I think it's 2 weeks after the All-Star game is the freaking trade deadline, correct?
Yeah, July 1st
Yes,
is the end of it. August 1st.
August 1st. Okay, yeah, because what it is I'm thinking this, man. Unless some teams start falling off, the actual, with the extra wild card, there's a lot more teams involved, a lot more teams alive. So just in the East, if you look in the American League East, obviously, the top four teams are going to be alive. That means the Red Sox will most likely be out unless the Blue Jays completely fall off because the Blue Jays actually have a better record than we do. If you look at the Central, Ohio may not give up, although 3 games under, because they're only 2 games out of the first place Twins. The White Sox, who would normally be sellers, 10 games under 500, are still within striking distance, 5.5. But if they fall back a couple more games, or if the Twins falter, they're either in it or they're out of it. So I would say you have to pick from the Tigers, White Sox, Royals, Red Sox in the American League and Athletics. And as long as the Mariners are anywhere close to the wild card, I don't see stubborn Dipoto giving up. So that means you only got, 5 teams in the AL unless something crazy happens to pick from as far as trade partners. And then in the National League, it kind of gets a little interesting because I know the Phillies will stay in it. They're trying to get a wild card. They're playing better baseball. But the Mets, I think they're going to fall apart. You might be able to fleece Dipoto a little bit with all the guys they got. Nationals, definitely. The Cubs are interesting because they're only 3 games out. That division's almost wide open. Pittsburgh and St. Louis, I think, will be a seller. And then you look over, I don't think the Padres will give up. They're going to still try to get that wild card. Or we've seen them go on a run to maybe they can get back in the division. Who knows? But for the teams that we're looking at right now, that are potential buyers, you only got 5 in each league. So with only with only was it 33% of the league gonna be sellers for sure at this point, that narrows your options, and you really, I mean, these lower class teams are going to come up with some pretty good players because some teams are going to get kind of desperate, don't you think?
I can think of Kansas City being one. They have some bullpen guys. I don't think Zach Greinke would entertain a trade or whatever out of Kansas City. But when you think of the Royals, they have Chapman there. They have some other players that maybe you could throw in. Oakland, maybe you find a spark with some veterans there. Uh, with the team coming in to play the Angels, the White Sox this week, they have so many starting pitchers, and then
Correct.
Joe Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe for the right deal, you can get a Joe Kelly to help the bullpen out. If you need another starter or two, the White Sox have all that. So anybody from Colorado, maybe, I'm not sure. I don't think we want to go the Tyler Anderson route and get somebody who pitched at Coors. The Pirates, I could see David Bednar, their closer, maybe being traded if they fall more. Carlos Santana, not the guitar player, but the DH and first baseman. Maybe I thought that would be a trade candidate right away after a while, and it seems like that's happening. So look for Pittsburgh to be a seller, and then Carlos Santana being moved.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Aaron Judge real quick of the Yankees. He has a torn ligament in his right toe stemming from his dramatic catch in LA. Bullpen door swing open, and he was walking gingerly. Since that day in June 3rd, he hasn't been in the lineup for New York. And what's odd thing about it, the Yankees kind of held the severity of the injury kind of hush. Uh, they didn't really say, oh, anything's torn, but all of a sudden it's been torn for a while. And they kind of kept it hush. It kind of reminded me, Todd, of the Mike Trout back injury from a couple of years ago. Remember, all the national pundits and even some of the Angel fans out there were like, man, that back injury, everybody was playing Operation and Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was saying, well, I don't think he's ever going to play again. That's the fear right now. And Trout's back and he's playing well enough, I guess. But I'll tell you what. Do you think the Yankees will slide out of the top three wild card spots without Judge here for a month or so, or do you think they'll be able to keep pace with everyone else in the American League wild card?
It's hard to say because it's not like, they got into the same situation as the Dodgers did a few years ago where it was just them and the Red Sox. You had the, Toronto sucking. Tampa Bay would be decent or at least good, but you knew that the Yankees would make the postseason. It was usually a given, but throwing in the fact that, Toronto's good and Baltimore is really good, Tampa's really good, I think it's not going to be a shoo-in for them where they can get through big injuries like this. Because remember, a couple of years ago, they didn't have Stanton or, Judge for a little bit, and they were able to still cakewalk their way into the postseason. I don't think they have the pitching that they've had over the years. They've suffered a lot of injuries, and plus some of the guys that pitched good last year. I'm forgetting the guy with the mustache, the left-hander. He's been kind of very mediocre for them this year. What's his name? I can't think of his name. The left-handed
Mr. Cortez.
Yeah, Cortez. He's been very mediocre. Severino's been on and off hurt. But
Derek Cole's been great.
Yeah, Derek Cole. You know what you got with him, boy. If only the Angels would have gotten Derek Cole and wouldn't have shut the F up about telling everybody how much they wanted him, maybe this guy would be still pitching as an ace for the Angels because he would have been. Yeah, yeah, we had him, dude. We would have had him and Ohtani back to back, bro. Him and Ohtani. But no, we have Rendon. Thank you, Billy Epler. And stupid farty Moreno. But no, what I meant is I think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to struggle because the Yankees put a lot of pressure on Stanton to be, or Judge to be the guy, and he's sort of the Yankee Clipper unofficially right now. And it's funny because I love the fact that the media is so quiet. Last year, again, a one-trick pony. I'll say it over and over. I don't care if he made that catch in L.A. He is a one-trick pony. Tell me what he does to help the team besides making 3 catches a year in the outfield. Other than, he doesn't steal bases, doesn't walk very much. He has a decent average. I'll give him that, but I don't buy it. I didn't like the fact they gave him the freaking. They were just dying not to give it to Shohei last year, and now they're dying because they're going to have to give it back to Shohei. So they would just love for him to be in a different jersey. But with that being said, the Yankees are going to struggle. And Judge is the one guy that you fear in that lineup. And I think everyone else you could pitch around, you could pitch to. And, they don't have any of those big boppers. And I'm not even sure. I don't even remember or even know if Stanton's even in the lineup or is he still hurt? Because he seems to have been a non-factor all year this year.
No, I think he's been out with injury pretty much all season long. And then there was some other news coming out where Aaron Boone and Josh Donaldson finally cleared the air and say Donaldson would play at third base more this year because it seems like anywhere Josh Donaldson goes, he always – there's the airplane. Josh Donaldson he's always a cancer in the locker room. All that stories came out last year with him and everybody else coming forward. So that's another thing to end up with in the Yankee locker room is the injuries, Donaldson, Boone, the pressure on him. We'll see how that all ends up. Now, I know we're in Angel Page, but they made history on Saturday. Not so much on Sunday or Friday, but on Saturday, the Angels scored a lot in Colorado, to say the least. Trout, Drury, Theis hit back-to-back home runs. That was the first team to do so in the MLB in 3 years. I didn't know that. They ended up scoring 13 runs in the third alone and 8 more runs in the fourth. The final score was 25-1. This game beat team records held from August 25th of 1979, when at the time the California Angels beat the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto, an exhibition stadium, the outdoor one, 24-2. Looking back at that game, Don Baylor, nicknamed Groove, of course, had 8 RBI. Disco Dan Ford, I think, had 4 or 5 RBIs. I just love the nicknames when I heard that Matty V was going into a deep dive of that game in 79, and I've only heard of it. But I was amazed by that. So, I saw the different blowouts the Angels have had in their history, and I'm thinking it'd be fun to go back and see which ones stand out. See, I remember the 2016 one. What was that? In July of 2016, the Angels won 21-2 in Boston. There was a couple in 2002. A 19-0 blowout of the White Sox in May of 2002. And that's when you thought, man, this team can really hit in 2002. Really nothing recently other from 2016. There was a couple of ones in 2007 that I sort of remember against the Yankees and at Baltimore. But Todd, any of these blowouts stand out to you? And then what was your thoughts about that game that happened on Saturday?
Any of those games? I remember the Boston game 21-2 because that was Fenway was always a place where we especially sucked or blew games. So that one was fun to see the Boston fans leave early because they were always cocky. And then what stood out to me about, what was exciting about the game when they won 25-2 was like, hey, man, we have a new lineup at the bottom of the order, which had been struggling, of late. And it looked like they made the right calls. We knew they weren't going to score 25 a night. But just the fact that, hey, they kind of made a statement. And so that's why I thought Sunday's game was going to be so important that they come out and they they don't have to put up 20 runs or even 10 runs, but just put up a good number and get the keep the pitching down, and maybe they win that game 8-5 or 6-4, something like that. And you keep the pressure on, you get 10 hits, and you just have a nice balanced lineup. That's all we were looking for. And so that 25 runs was great because it looked like a video game. You had 13 runs in one inning and 8 in the other, and they were just, all the narratives about can't hit with 2 outs, runners in scoring position, they were just blowing it away and all in one game. And a guy like freaking Renfroe, raised his average a good 20 points or so because of, him going 5 for 5. So there was a lot of good that came out of that game, and it was nice to see. And I just wish that they had gotten the shutout instead of going with Ingram, because I think that would have been a record with a shutout, the biggest blowout. Mike Moore chimes in with something that I agree with in that game too. Was he said that Trout shouldn't have been pulled from that game Saturday. He's been struggling. He needs all the confidence in the world. And to keep him in there, because he was 3 for 3 at the time. So especially if we're going to replace him with Squid, who quickly went 0 for 3 with a strikeout, that didn't exactly make any sense. But 20, and one more thing I'll pull out of that game, James, the fact that they won 25-1, and several people during the post game were sending links, because I don't watch the Bally's post game, and they were saying that, and because I want to hear your thoughts on it. That Nevin seemed disappointed and almost frustrated the fact that they didn't take the foot off the gas. You know what I mean?
Well, I know I commented about that during the show or whatever, or later on in the chat, probably the next day. I think Tele Chronicles said that. I know he has to say the right things because he knows them from San Diego days or whatever. So I guess you have to say those things, but hopefully, in the locker room, in his mind with the players, he's like, "No, you guys did awesome tonight. That you guys are amazing. Come to the ballpark late tomorrow." And it showed. They didn't score so many. The one thing I was thinking about, I said, man, hopefully the guys went out and had like a nice, like steak dinners and drinks and all that. Maybe they all came back hungover the next morning. I don't know, but I know you said, "Oh, I'm kind of embarrassed. I don't want to. You never want to show up anybody." But what I was thinking about, and I put this in the chat, I remember I was saying, well, Phil Nevin played in an era, 30 years ago or less, that if somebody hit a big home run or was piling on runs, the next batter would get hit and a brawl would ensue, and that would be that. Or it would continue maybe during the game if more home runs were hit. So that fear that Nevin had of those days is in his mind. But the thing is, that generation is over with. Nowadays, you can do pretty much anything you want out of the box. You can pip a home run. You can pip a strikeout if you're a pitcher. So, like, anything goes. And you didn't see any retaliation from the Rockies or anything like that. So that's when I knew, okay, there's going to be a generation issue here where you're going to feel like, okay, Nevin's from a different time. He has to say that to save face toward the Rockies. But as a fan, you realize, well, who cares? They kept throwing the pitches. We just kept hitting them. It didn't really matter. I remember what happened in 2020 with Tatis Jr. hitting that 3-0 grand slam, and then Eric Hosmer telling Tatis Jr. to apologize to the Rangers. And so there was a generational issue there, a gap issue there. So you're going to have this happen whenever you have games like that where, you pile on, but you don't really mean it. But hopefully Nevin had a talk with the guys and said, hey, I had to say that. I don't really mean it, but I had to say it to the media. I didn't want to show up Bud Black and all the guys over there. I didn't want to do that. So I think that's how I came out of it. I It's funny with Nevin. I know you think about it. You talk about it a lot of the times on your post game show, where he has a philosophy, and it's really back and forth. It's hot and cold. It's all over the place. A lot of times he doesn't make the right decisions, and sometimes he does, and he gets credited for it, and then we drown him after. And hopefully he did. The best of both worlds here. Hopefully he didn't lose the clubhouse if he didn't already. But that's my thought on it, honestly. Did you have thoughts on it? I forgot.
Yeah, I was kind of upset because like you don't say that. If anything, if there's a time to dodge our soft media, it would have been right there. It would have been like, what are your thoughts on the 25-1? I would have been like, well, we just played a good game tonight. Give them the old cliche: played a good game, played hard. Give them the Rasheed Wallace. Both teams played hard, my man, and that's it. Just give them that and go with it from there. And I don't want to hear, like he doesn't have to go into detail and be like, yeah, I'm glad Fletcher. All you had to, if you want to expound and say, well, what did you think of the lineup? Oh, the lineup did good, especially the bottom of the order, and we got a lot of production tonight. And just leave it like that. And then if you want to go to the clubhouse, then you praise the hell out of him and give him extra drinks and whatnot. And, hey, no batting practice like you guys used to have with Joe Madden tomorrow or something. But yeah, he just frustrates me because I get the whole I'm old school, I don't take bullshit, but then you take bullshit. You know what I mean? Like last year, he should have punched Wanker in the face. I don't care who you are. You get in my face like that and talking like Wanker did, we're throwing fists. And not only that, especially if I'm in a crowd, I'm not going to let you disrespect me in a crowd. They're in front of 40 some odd thousand. And Wanker was disrespecting him in front of his team, and his team didn't do shit to push Wanker away. So I think I lost a lot of respect for Nevin last year, after being on his coattails as far as being maybe a guy who could turn this franchise around. I think he lost me there. And then he's lost me several times this year with his in-game adjustments, his lineups. Again, I don't know if you heard it because, I had to hear the first 5 innings on the radio before I got home and was able to see the game. Mark Langston, before the game started, said that literally our boy Moniak had to go to him and beg him for playing time and telling him that, hey, man, I'm legit. I can play and give me a chance against these left-handers. And that's how he got the start yesterday. Like Nevin actually came out and said, yeah, Moniak's been really lobbying to me for more playing time. And I think he did decent the other night, but that just goes to show you why I lose respect for this guy because I don't give a shit if you got, he hasn't had a big enough sample size from the left side to be pushed in the corner and left alone like, hey, man, you suck against lefties. He's not Jared Walsh. He can make contact and do things in the box. And defensively, he's just as good. So it's like, give him a chance. And if you got to have a player who's tearing the cover off the ball, beg you for playing time, I just don't think you know what's going on out there.
Yeah, I think Nevin, if I was Nevin, I would have put some, funniness into the answers. I would have said, well, the metal bats or the corks in the bat worked tonight. I don't remember scoring that much other from a video game. I would come up with some funny stuff.
Yeah, if you're Fernando, you'd say, boy, we scored more than a Buena Park Gigolo on a Saturday night.
Maybe I haven't been in Buena Park all that much. Don't know of Gigolo. I know they have Eggers there, but I don't know about Gigolos. Also on Saturday, some more history happened, but finally ended. And mercifully for Jordan Lyles, their starting pitcher, he got his first win of the season. Mm-hmm. Now, it's historic because they defeated not only the Rays 9-4. A little side note, the Rays are wearing their Devil Rays uniforms, and they kind of played like it. They are also without Wander Franco for a couple of weeks or games, I can't remember, but handling his frustrations wrongly. Somehow Kevin Cash and Franco clashed about that. Lyles, though, was 0-15, 0 for 15, and starts the season. with 11 losses, a record never seen in 103 years. He did face the Angels. I believe he got no decision or loss earlier this year. It's one of those records, and I guess they keep stuff until 1920, up until or after 1920. So it's one of those records you don't want to be a part of because you might have someone else come up and ask, who started the season, the most games starting the season without winning, and right away they'll say Jordan Lyles. Um, so, man, what's your thoughts about Lyles finally breaking through to the other side to get his first win?
When he was 0-9, I brought it up on the postgame show. It was after one of our tough losses. I was like, hey, we could be Jordan Lyles right now, 0-9 as a starter. But yeah, the fact that he got a win, congratulations to him. I thought he would be DFA'd right now because they got rid of Angels legend Mike Myers after his start against us. But Jordan Lyles he's got decent stuff. I feel bad for the guy. But if Kansas City keeps rolling him out there, he's on pace for a good 24 losses. So I'm hoping just for his confidence, if he ever wants to pitch in the major leagues again or continue his career, I would have to say you have to either DFA him or send him down for the rest of the minor leagues because you don't want that. I mean, there's been some pitchers that their careers have been destroyed because they've had one bad year and had like a 20 game or, like 9 wins and 20 losses or 6 wins and 20 losses, something like that. I've seen that and they never recover. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but Jordan Lyles still has some MLB left in him, but it's kind of hard when you play for a team like Kansas City who really doesn't score many runs, number one. So you got to be really good. And if you're just a mediocre pitcher on a really bad team, you might rack up some losses, and unfortunately he did.
Yeah, I'm looking at his totals. He's given up 68 runs, 19 home runs, 30 walks, given up 89 hits, 91 innings, and 2/3 pitched. The 1-11 record, yeah, that really hurts out of the 16 starts.
I mean, look at Greinke, too. I mean, Greinke, obviously, he's 39. You're getting some production out of him. I don't think his ERA is all that bad, but if you look at his record, Greinke's record's 1-7 or 1-8 or something like that.
That shows you, just with the Royals, even though they showed it against the Angels, but they find it hard to get some runs, I think. And, Greinke's right up there with 89 hits given up, 15 home runs. That's always been a thing with Greinke. But the funny thing is he's only walked 11, so he stays in the zone, but he does get bit a lot because, his fastball isn't fast. He has deception, but it can't get hit.
Would Greinke be sponsored by Get in the Zone, Auto Zone? That's cheesy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a good memory from back in the day. Todd, I believe that's all for the Around the League show here on Halos in the Infield. Again, got to give a shout out to the sponsors, 714 Tickets. As we're talking, it's about 10, almost 10:30, or it is 10:30.
Right about the hour mark, yeah.
So, or in the business at the bottom of the hour, as they would say. You got to get those tickets for 714 Tickets. You got to call in that number, 714-842-5387. Somehow I remember that number from all the reads, but you got to call that number right now on this Monday before, 5 o'clock, 5:30, to get those special Heedy tailgate tickets, those $55 ones. And I haven't checked, but I know they're more expensive.
Yeah, they're about 80 to 85 because of it's the bobblehead, dude. Like literally, that was a goof on our side. We thought it would be fun to do the on a Saturday, and early, mid-season, but we didn't anticipate there being a bobblehead on that night, and especially a rare bobblehead. I mean, if you guys talk about wanting to go to the game, I think you're going to make your money up and then some. If you're not really a collector, I'm not really a collector of bobbleheads. I usually give mine away, and I've not really sold them, but I really think I want to sell this one because the want from people that are out of state and out of country that are either Ohtani fans or Trout fans is because it's the first time they're both together on a bobblehead. Just going to the game, if you think, man, $55 is going to be a lot to pay for a ticket to an Angel game, I'm not used to paying that much, or, $55 should get me closer. Just think about what you're getting, first of all, that day. You're getting free nachos, with chicken or asada, and, you're getting the helmet nachos. You're getting basically unlimited tacos, so like you pound down 4, you're like, hey, I want 4 more. I'm not going to be like, no, F you, bro. No, I'm going to be like, all right, well, what do you want? We have 3 different kinds of meats. So it's like, you're getting the tacos, you're getting the shirts, you're getting the freaking Thunder Sticks, you're getting free food, some sodas, you got to bring your own beer, but you're getting all that in a bobblehead that literally you could post on eBay or offer up and make all of your money back and then some, because this bobblehead's going to go in some places for $200 to $300. If you're getting a regular bobblehead, that the 13 strikeout one, a couple of my friends sold theirs for about $125 online. So, yeah, so you can. There's a market for these bobbleheads. Trust me. And if you're not a collector, like I'm not a collector, I've gotten. Let me just give you this real quick, James. I've gotten over my lifetime a good 50 to 60 bobbleheads. I should have a collection like Fernando has in his glass case. I've given 95% of those away, not kept them. And to this day, I'm kind of upset with myself because I had old Garrett Anderson ones with the blue. I had Tim Salmon. I had all the old ones. And I'm just like, oh, you're an Angel fan? Like I give it to my friend, give it to my friend, give it to my friend. But when it comes down to it with this one, hell no, bro. Hell no. I'm going to hold on to this one and sell it at the end of the season.
I was just thinking I probably have like 20 or 30, but some of them I would probably get rid of. But you think of it as maybe a business trip if you're going to the game. That's how I think about it sometimes, where it's like, hey, man, I can get some money off of this. But not only that, you're going to have a good time. You're going to meet the Heedy crew. You're going to, talk with the other fans out there that, are on here. I think, we're all going to have a good time. I'll probably have a live pregame show. That's going to be fun. So to meet the crew, to, eat, drink, and, bring your own chair. I think that's going to be cool. I'm bringing my chair. It's going to be awesome. So I can't wait for that on Saturday the 1st. Again, get your tickets now. I mean, right now. I mean, right after you hear this. Get your tickets.
Mr. Moves just checked in with, what are you guys referring to? I'm just joining. It's real quick again, recap. It's for this Saturday's July 1st tailgate, which starts at 2 p.m. under the Angels halo right there in the parking lot. We're going to be tailgating, starts from 2 to 5, maybe 5:30 at the latest, because I think the game starts at 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to make sure everyone gets their bobblehead. I know they're starting at $85, but they're going to go, trust me, they're going to go for $300. If the freaking pillow of Ohtani from last year went for $150, this one's going to double that, especially when they start getting sold. That's why you want to hold on to them. You don't want to sell them now. You want to sell them in a couple months. But basically that night, July 1st, they're playing the first place Diamondbacks. It's a fireworks night. It's also the tailgate to where you're going to get helmet nachos. The bobblehead once you enter the stadium. You're going to get a Halos in the Infield free shirt from us. You're also going to get Thunder Sticks. Each person that's purchased a ticket gets Thunder Sticks, a shirt, and then you're going to get the bobblehead. The food we're going to have there, unlimited tacos, helmet nachos. We're going to also have sodas, so all you have to do is bring your own beer. And then afterwards, don't pay for anything on the inside. Don't buy any shit if you can get through the game. unless you want a snack here and there, but you should be fed by us before you go in. And then after the game, if you want to come by and chill with us at Noble L Works, which is right across the street, we're going to be over there having some drinks afterwards and probably doing the post game from right there. So it should be a whole day where, like James said, hanging out with the Heedy crew and the Angel fans in general.
That's right. I'm gonna wear a name tag. I'm gonna find one at work today and tomorrow and put that on so people wonder who I am. Oh, right here. Yeah.
Hi, my name is James.
Yeah. So that's it for the Around the League show. Thank you for everybody that has watched, commented in, and will watch on the rebound. Todd, you can take us out. Everyone take care and go Halos.
I gotta find there you go.